regular monthly meeting for the March meeting to order. Would you all please rise for the pledge to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a roll call.
Larry Slavsky.
Present.
Kathy Dice. Here. Nancy Ellis. Here. Jerry Jericho.
Here.
Jenny Matiki.
Here.
Bob Barnick.
Here.
Joe Smith.
Here.
We need to, and again, once again, we're going into a brief executive session across the hall. Give us about 10 minutes. So everybody can join us. So we'll go over there. Okay, let's come back into session. Okay, is there a motion to approve the regular monthly meeting minutes for the February 9th, 2022 meeting?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions, corrections, or revisions to the minutes? No? Okay, roll call.
Larry Slavsky.
Yes.
Kathy Dice.
Yes.
Nancy Ellis.
Yes.
Jerry Jericho.
Yes.
Jenny Matiki.
Yes.
Joe Smith.
Yes.
Bob Barnick.
Yes. Okay, marriage report.
Yeah, no, that's always in the neighborhood.
Good. Okay, we'll go into our standing committees then for finance. Nancy?
Okay, the total of bills paid is $36,271.46. The total payroll was $46,522.31. The total of bills to be paid was $202,267.37. The total of all bills is $238,538.83. I make a motion to pay the bills excluding $3,960 of payroll due to a discrepancy.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any
Discussion.
questions?
Yeah,
Questions
discussion.
on the bills?
Are we able to state to the public what your discrepancy is and what it all involves?
Well, I think as we're investigating a discrepancy in payroll.
It's a confidential employment matter.
Yeah, I mean, right, it's a payroll matter. We're looking into a discrepancy in payroll. Any other questions?
That's all I have for that.
So there's a motion on the floor, then in a second, roll call.
Larry Slavsky.
Motion to pay the bills, and repeat your motion again.
Okay.
Nancy.
Do you want me to read all the amounts?
No.
No, just the.
Okay. I make a motion to pay the bills excluding $3,960 of payroll due to a discrepancy.
No.
Kathy Dice. No. Nancy Ellis.
Yes.
Jerry Jericho.
Yes.
Jenny Matiki.
Yes.
Joe Smith.
No.
Bob Barnick.
Yes. And once again, we need to pay our bills whether there's a discrepancy or not. Paying none of the bills would not solve any problems. Personnel, Joe. So,
We had interviews today and Monday. There's, for the street department, we had two interviews today, three. And we elected to,
okay, well, we'll get into that when we get into
okay,
that. So You do have a recommendation for both
Yeah.
hires? Okay, good. For the code and for the street, correct?
Yes, for the code enforcement and the street.
Okay, good. Good. And anything to add to that, Kathy? Anything to add to that? Sorry, I just threw you on there.
Oh,
Anything to add to that? I mean, sorry, I just put you on there because there was a change in some committees, so.
Not at this time, no, I still need to kind of catch up. with
Okay,
it.
that's good. Nothing else then?
No, that was it.
Then we vote on them tonight,
Yeah,
okay.
we'll vote on it.
Okay, so Public Works, how are they, Kathy?
Repeat that, please.
Public Works, you, that's your committee.
Oh,
Any reports?
other than the great job these guys have been doing, I don't really have anything. But I would also like to point out the fact that the fire department and the police department did a very, very good job with responding time, everything yesterday with the car accident.
Okay, good. Brooks, you have anything for your Public Work schedule? What's going on, what needs to be done?
Not this time, Mr. President.
Brooks, have
We
you,
got-
did
we
you
got-
find the power washer?
Well, I mean, that's, I don't know.
I mean, it's on there, but I'm asking now on the public works, did you find
I've
it?
looked at a few,
We gotta
I'm
vote on
still
it.
trying
I mean, did
to.
you find the one they said we had?
Oh, no, absolutely did not.
So it was either missing, stolen, or got misplaced?
Well, the mayor informed me of a couple places that it may still be that I haven't looked. I can address that first thing in the morning and still can get back to you all, let you know. But,
Okay,
I mean, I've been in the areas that he's discussed with me and I haven't seen it, but.
so that's next,
it's not
that's
there.
all. Okay, everything else is good, the back goes in, everything's done?
Yep.
Street sweeper was notified for them to?
I notified them the very next day last week, and they got started on that, so. Roberta, did they get a hold of you to get that signature? So, yeah, we have it.
Okay, and the only other thing that I want to ask you is, you're still pursuing the truck?
Yes,
Looking at truck?
yes.
Okay.
Roberta, question, have you reached out to the contracting company that's gonna do our paving? Maybe we can get the ball rolling on that?
no, I thought that Remington and Burnham was doing that.
Okay, well, you have a report on that?
Yes.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
But you want to give that now under the contract with the streets, because it's going to tie into streets.
The successful bidder last fall was El Grande, and we are in the process of setting up a pre-construction meeting with them to get them out started as soon as possible. But commonly, the asphalt plants don't kick off until mid-April or so.
I was just trying to get the ball rolling,
Yes,
not wait
that's
until
what we're
April.
doing. We're,
Right.
you know, to contact people with El Grande. We've worked with them before. And we're setting up a pre-construction meeting as early as next week.
And this is the paving that was not completed at the end of last year, correct?
That is correct.
Any other questions on the streets? No? Okay, and code, Jerry.
I have nothing, Jeremy, you have
Yeah.
your report?
This is going to be for February because March isn't finished yet. We had done 10 occupancy inspections, had 7 violation letters issued, 3 were for garbage, 1 for infestation, and there's 3 others. We're currently in the process of sending out delinquent sanitation letters to be paid that have been delinquent from 2021 and back. And those are starting to come in already, and the rental license bills are coming in. So we're busy.
And I'll also say that during the interview process for the office worker, the jury was involved in that also. So that is, we'll put that on if we go to the hiring person. Okay, Parks and Recreation, Janine.
They sent me a DCNR grant. It's so foreign to me. Never did a grant before, but I'm working on it.
Anything planning on Easter? Nothing yet? Are we looking at Easter?
No, we're still gonna do the thing, Roberta, down at the park.
It's
The
up
same
it's
Easter.
up to you guys, yeah.
No, we're gonna set that up.
Okay,
Can I please say a couple things?
go ahead.
I think you guys need a manager to help with breaking spreads. Okay?
We have somebody
Well,
behind.
the engineering firm has offered help with grants as well.
I'm on.
So you might want to contact them, but you guys definitely need some kind of manager or whatever that has
Yes,
this.
yes, we know.
Yeah, because it's like I'm.
Right, you'd have never written grants.
I can't.
Right. It's very, very time consuming.
I'll call you tomorrow.
Yes.
Make sure I remember.
Okay, moving on then, police, we'll go to police, Larry.
This would have been from the January to our February police meeting here. I can just give you these numbers, and this was incidents reported between 1/1/22 to 1/31/2022. And again, next Wednesday, we'll have a meeting to be able to get the February numbers. Total number of calls for service was 418. Charleroi School District had 105 calls. We have the Borough of Charleroi with 242 calls. North Charleroi Borough with 36 calls. And Spears Borough with 28 calls. That's all we have for that.
Just for people not to panic, that 105 to the school district, probably 95 of those were school checks. They're not actual calls to the police.
School, right.
Or the school.
Okay, and the fire, EMS, animal, Joe.
Bobby? We had 48 calls in February. Another busy month. We're busy. How many right now, Matt, this month so far? How many?
20 for the month.
20 for the month of March already. So we're busy just as the police. We do have our $5 tickets still out now. It goes off the end of the month. There's still some to be bought. $5 for $2,200 in lottery tickets and $800 in cash. We're having pizza every Friday night during Lent from 4 to 7, trying to raise some money. Matt, today, I don't know if anybody, I guess everybody watches Facebook, but we got an allotment of smoke detectors that we put out for the community. They can call the station, Matt will go up and install them for them. They're donated from the Red Cross. We did it a couple years ago. It was a real good public relations thing, so we got some more. We're going to do that. And I think next Friday, if the weather's nice, we got a sonar, North Strabane, and who's the other one, Matt? Jefferson Hill's got sonar units. They're going to bring down, if the river's half decent, we're going to bring them in and do some training. But Matt talked to Davey Kimbless, and you never know, it might be a car or two underneath there. So they're going to do just something to see if there is, and then work with Wojnowski's maybe, and when the water goes down, and get them things out of there and see what's going on. And Dave, the detective, was interested because you never know who's in them or what might be in them or whatever. So that's something the guys are going to be doing next Friday. And other than that, I think is that it now? That's about it.
Go ahead. Question, Bobby. Naturally, with COVID that hit, the fire department had to redefine itself in ways to try to raise funds. And you guys kind of redirected everything in a way that was pretty crafty. I got to commend you for that. Are you seeing this being profitable moving forward with the same direction, and is that enough money coming in to suffice for your needs?
Like, I tell you what we got started now, we just had the penguin ticket one go. Now we're going to bring out, we call it the gas card, but we don't want to tie somebody up. I called the golf station. They do have a gift card, but someone said, what happens if you sell that and somebody got a diesel? So we're going to put out a $700 gift card. It's going to be Visa cards, and we're going to say they're gas cards. So it's 70-30. They'll get 700, we'll get 300, because you can't go half and half. The roof will blow off the place. So you just got to. It's a fine line how much we've noticed if you try to make a little bit extra money, there's always somebody smarter than us over there that said, look, they're making a buck more than they should be making. So it's a fine line on trying to make that money. People are not our fund. I will tell our fund drive is going to come out here probably in the next couple of weeks, and it seems like every year it comes out this time. 2 years ago it came out. There's COVID. Now here's the gas. So it's just you just can't catch a break.
EMS.
Oh, yeah, and we still, then Larry, getting back to the online stuff, we have $7,300 tied up in PayPal. When this first started, the pandemic, we were doing that online stuff. And I hate to say it, we were doing pretty good. The PayPal come out and said, you can't do this again. They got $7,300 of our money locked up. And we contacted, we used Alan Benyak as our attorney. He looked into it, and they said, the fine print says you can't do this, you can't do that. So they said, that's your fine. You're paying your fine to us. So they took, Carroll Township had like $12,000. Roscoe, it was ridiculous. And the fire commissioner, state fire commissioner was on it, and Josh Shapiro was on it and everything, but never heard a thing. It's like 2 years, we had, you know, yeah, took the money like right out from underneath us, and there's nothing we can do. You know, so, thank you.
Yeah, EMS responded in February 92 times. Animal Control, February had, they answered 33 calls, citations 4, warnings 23, animal bites 1, pickups 5, animal return to owner 2, nuisance calls 23, 1 cat trap.
Okay, community planning, development, Larry.
To condense this, so you don't have to hear it twice, pretty much everything I'm going to have to say is tied in with our engineering firm. So I'm going to turn things over to Dave, but I will say before he starts to speak that we're planting the seeds to create a pretty good landscape with different grants that we're going after, some other programs that we're looking into, and I think praying that we can reap the benefits of these and see a very fruitful 2023 with a lot of funds coming down and being delivered. So with that said, that's Dave from Remington Vernick Engineers.
Dave, one thing for what we just said to us, I just thought about it, the road millings. I was told, I heard rumor yesterday that we wasn't going to keep the road millings. Yes, we are. But it costs a lot of money to haul them out.
Yeah, we saved like $60,000 for the millings.
We gave it away
Keep
last
them.
year.
Well, they stored it down, and Mark Altrisi said the same place, they can store it downtown. We
Joe
filled
Lopez
a
took
lot
some.
in, Joe Lopez, we gave him some, filled a lot in, he said he could take a couple more truckloads.
Right.
And there's plenty of room down at the chamber. They use them down there, and they said if we ever need them, we can use them also. So it does save a lot of money not to have
I'll
them.
review how it is written in the contract, so that,
I want to say it is to stay here, but somebody told me yesterday, I mean, no, we're keeping them.
yeah.
We have a place to keep them, because like you said, we saved 60 grand last year by keeping them.
Okay, we will look into that.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. I'll try to keep my report as brief as possible. Just some updates on some of the things. The only action that we're requesting of the commissioners tonight is to authorize the resolution to pursue the LSA grant application. I hear we have a resolution written, and that application requires a $100 non-refundable application fee. Back to possible capital projects. The first one I have is the blighted house. That's on hold until we get the determination of the grants, funds that will be available. Municipal building parking. We have not been able to obtain the report and analysis from the prior engineering firm. So I don't know how dated it is anyway, but we do have those services if we choose to go that way, that we could redo an inspection and an analysis of the facility. But that's just in case we can't get the report. Railroad way drainage issue, again, that one, the first step on that would be to have the survey done, and then we have knowledge that it was done, and we're trying to obtain those records also. So we're not doing anything on that until we get the survey. Transition meeting, well, by my comments, you can see how that was going. It was really smooth at first, and the communications were well. And now my phone calls and emails are just not responded to. So I regret to report that to the board. So probably any help we can get on that from anyone on the board, that would be helpful. The Penndot SR88 traffic signal replacement project, we were asked to look at some of the current conditions of some of the poles, and they are in pretty bad shape. I sent some, Councilman Larry helped me obtain some pictures, and there's some past records of the pole that fell. We wrote a letter to not only the design engineer, PM, but the Penndot's PM. And I've received several responses, and one is that we say we at least want to either accelerate the let date or make sure it is not pushed back. Well, I heard that the let date was in October from the design firm, and the Penndot already told me that it had been pushed back to February of 23. Yeah. So it's a matter of a few months, but they're saying that they need to obtain 3 more property easements, and then also some utility research that they're doing some corings and stuff to locate some others. And if they can possibly accelerate that, they will. So in the meantime, we're going to have to keep an eye on those poles conditions, and I requested some. I don't want to reinvent the wheel, if they have come across this before. So they are going through Penndot's records and seeing if they've done any bracing or et cetera, so that we don't have to, put a lot of engineering time into it, and maybe we can just go and get the fix done. So that's the bad news on that. But the good news is that this project is, it's already in the planning stages. Penndot's gonna follow this up with a betterment project, in which that is through the whole 88 corridor through Charleroi. It's going to consist of milling and overlaying of the entire road, and possibly some sidewalk replacements and ADA ramp upgrades, etc. So that was the good news on that. The grants, like we just mentioned, the LSA is the current grant that we're pursuing, and that will come to my conclusion of my report.
You want to state the amount on that $745,172,000 for the statewide local share assessment grant?
Correct. That is the correct amount, and that includes, there's no matching money in this grant, which is the good thing. And that includes some engineering costs, inspection costs, contingency costs, administrative, 2% administrative costs, which is all allowable by the grant. Because the actual construction was right around $636,900. Okay?
Okay. And anyone, as we go, anything from our solicitor?
I reviewed 2 deeds recently. Deed 1 is for Riverfront Park. Long Valley Alliance is returning that to the Borough of Charleroi. That deed is approved, it's good. Deed number 2 is for an alley that they want to take over. The problem is that I can't prove that Charleroi actually owns the alley. Nobody actually owns it. So we own it, there just hasn't been a deed on it or anything. So I did talk to the engineer at the beginning of the meeting, and I'm going to keep working with them. I did call DCED and asked to speak to Foreman. Foreman did not take my call and has not returned my call. It's been several days. to go forward on the DCED issue, I do think that the Borough of Charleroi at least has to get paid for, I believe, 9 months, 10 months worth of the last borough manager's time. So, again, I would encourage you to hire a new borough manager to help me set up the pay structure with the Commonwealth in order to get paid the grant that I believe that you're entitled to. Unfortunately, Roberta is drowning in work and has a lot of requests, and truthfully, this is a job for a borough manager anyway. So, legally, that's it for now.
So, can I ask a question? Wouldn't the invoice for the borough manager through the DCED be the same as the 6 others that were sent?
Have you gotten paid on any other invoices?
Yeah, we've gotten paid, right, Roberta? You submitted invoices because the first $45,000 we got paid.
Has
Correct.
DCED ever paid the Borough of Charleroi?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think they have.
You got the
No.
STMP reimbursed. That's the money that you got.
Well, but you
You got
still have to put an
nothing,
invoice in for
But you
that.
got nothing as far as the borough manager's contract is concerned.
That's what I'm saying. Wouldn't it be the same invoicing system?
No.
I'm sorry. According to your contract, you can set up some kind of special payment system that's complicated with the Commonwealth. I wasn't aware that the Borough of Charleroi has that set up.
Yeah, it has
Because-
to go into direct deposit.
Because I was under the assumption that since they haven't paid anything on any of the, and I think the borough manager, that hasn't already been set up. Now, if you're telling me that that system has already been set up, then yeah, we can invoice them, but that's a question I can't answer.
We've had grants before from them for borough managers, and they've gotten paid.
From DCED or from some other Commonwealth entity?
DCED.
I have
We get borough manager, Donnie's never paid for DCED.
Part of it did.
And then we were
First
granted
hired.
$96,000.
When we first hired them,
I'm sorry?
We were granted $96,000, but that's what the grant was.
Payable over several years, yes.
Right, it was half, and half, or a quarter,
It's a
half, and
quarter.
3/4, whatever it
I
was.
think Donnie's was a
DCED
But
told me last night.
it just had to
that-
be
That came through
Invoiced
this
and it
department.
would have gone into the bank account. I read the contract.
There's
Do you have the contract? I'm
I
sorry.
do, yes. There's a payment scheme that needs to be set up with them. I wasn't aware of us ever getting a dime from DCE. If you're telling me that you have in the past, that is news to me. From the last meeting, I thought I was told very clearly that you've never.
On this last hire, no, we have
Borough
not.
manager,
You
no.
you got to keep in mind that this is a whole new contract. Again, for the STMP, that's a separate contract. And then again, a whole new contract following the STMP program for the borough managers. So that would be a totally different contractual setup.
It
And you
is, but the
question what-
invoicing is the same from what I'm gathering.
I can't answer that one way or the other. If you're telling me that you're already set up with the Commonwealth to receive a grant into a bank account, which is basically what the pay scheme is, okay, then I can look into helping you do an invoice to them for 1 year. I was under the assumption that you never got anything from DCE. If that's the case, then you have to set up this complicated pay scheme.
But I guess so, because what the question is, prior or current? Because like we're saying, if we were paid through DCED from a borough manager from 10 years ago, it would not be the same as it is our borough manager 2 years ago.
I don't think it will be.
Okay, so that's what it's going to fall into.
I'm just saying, that we have dealt with them before.
What I'm saying is that under the contract, if you want, I can send you a copy, or if you already have one, there's a complicated pay scheme you have to get set up, and then you invoice this complicated pay scheme, and maybe you get paid, maybe you don't. But that's where we're at. I'd like help with it, or at least to advise you on how to set up. But I don't think that's a job for Berta, because like I said, she's drowning in work as it is.
Right.
That's a job for hopefully a future borough manager.
That's easy on there.
Based on the email, through some discovery, I don't want to go into that, elaborate too much. I think you all know the email that was found on the computer, and it was addressed to 3 people. Nothing made it past that email.
I agree.
I don't know what you're talking
My preliminary investigate, again, I'm trying to get to the bottom, we'll talk about,
Right.
there's an action item on the agenda.
Right.
My limited investigation is that you guys haven't set, or not you guys, the prior board, Authorize in particular, did not set up all the proper stuff that was supposed to be done.
Nancy, I see that I'm now on finance with you.
Yeah.
If you'd like, you and I could meet.
That's
We
fine.
could try to figure out some numbers, come back to the solicitor. If he sees fit with what we put together, maybe we can attempt to invoice the DCED from that point in time.
Most of them, it will be easy once you set up the payment structure. The payment structure is the complicated part.
Sean, it's confusing me because we don't, as council people, pay bills here. And you're saying that Mark Authorize was supposed to set this up. He don't do that. He signs contracts, he signs papers as president. He don't pay bills when we receive bills. He wouldn't know when this came in.
I'm saying that he and a borough employee should have figured out how to set up the payment structure after he signed the contract. He signed the contract. If he signed the contract, it's his responsibility to figure out how to set the payment structure. If he can't do it himself, which I'm not even suggesting he was supposed to do it himself, then he should have instructed another employee to get the structure set up for him, and he never did that. So I don't know the man. I'm saying that he signed the contract. He didn't get it set up. He should have.
I probably signed it too, but that don't mean I'm gonna, I mean.
He should have worked with a prior employee to get this set up, and he didn't do that.
Right, either the borough
It's up to the
manager or
employees to
the
handle that.
solicitor or somebody should have set up this payment. Because as I said, when we set up the original police grant,
Right.
when we went through to get the chief's salary partly paid,
Right.
the consultant and our solicitor actually set up all the payment system.
They
The only thing was that the chairman, who was Nancy at the time, signed it because she was the chairperson. But the solicitor, right, and the consultant is the actual one that did it. So yes, somebody should have been filing this. I agree with Sean. Whether it be Mark or not, but someone,
I mean, we only have two employees. It would have been Manning or Jody
or Steve.
Well, he don't pay bills.
No,
Yeah,
but
he
the
signed
solicitor
it.
would have helped set it up.
Well, yeah, he should have been part of that.
I imagine, I mean, from what I've gathered so far, that email should have been forwarded to the Finance Committee of 2021, who then should have forwarded, or vice versa, forwarded to Roberta, should have been forwarded, and it wasn't. It just,
And again, I don't know, I wasn't here, okay, but, even though you're a board, one guy signed the contract. If that guy signed the contract, then he's at least follow up and say, okay, let's get paid on this contract that I signed. And I'm not even saying that he was supposed to set it up, I'm just saying maybe he should have delegated that, or stayed on top of it, or gotten it done.
So you're saying you tried to call Mark Foreman and he has not returned the call?
Nope.
Well,
Okay.
and you said he is the boss. Well, his boss is a resident of 15022 resident.
He's the Western Regional Director or something. So he's not the boss of bosses.
No, his boss lives in our community, our area, local community here. And the thing is, they're reading all this in the newspaper, and it's my understanding they're not very pleased with us.
I would not be pleased with them if I were you.
Right. Okay, is there any public discussion on agenda? No. The correspondence, we already had the code, animal control, the EMS, the fire, and all police was all in here. Tri-County Borough Association meeting will be March 17th at West Brown's doing volunteer fire department. We'll go into the agenda. Number 1, is there a motion to approve the paid accessible parking application for 317 Washington Avenue?
So moved.
Is there a second?
second.
That's been looked at.
Yes,
Did everything fine?
yes, everything's in order for that to be.
Any other questions on it? Okay, roll call.
Larry Zalesky,
Yes.
Kathy Daly,
Yes.
Angie Ellis,
Yes.
Jerry Jericho,
Yes.
Jenny Matei,
Yes.
Joe Smith,
Yes.
Hopper Warner.
Yes. Number 2, is there a motion to approve a non-paid accessible parking stall for 200 Lookout Avenue?
Motion.
For a second?
Second.
And then again, I was supposed to assume that was all taken care of and looked at it.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Larry Zalesky,
Yes.
Kathy Daly,
Yes.
Angie Ellis,
Yes.
Jerry Jericho.
Yes.
Jenny Matei.
Yes.
You say no?
I said yes.
Joe Smith,
Yes.
Hopper Warner.
Yes. Number 3, we're going to do these separately. Is there an appointment for the planning commission?
Marty Kastner. And Jody, you put in for, you want both, or you put in for one or the other?
Is that? Yeah, we're going to do individual for, yeah. So-
Well, I just asked her a question because she put her name on for both. I didn't think she wanted both, she's saying one or the other, so I wanted to ask her.
So is there
I nominated Marty Kastner.
Second.
for the planning commission?
Planning Commission, yes.
I'd like to nominate Eric Hubner.
I'll second.
Is there any other nominations?
Jody Chipple?
For planning?
Yes. She said either or. Do you prefer either one?
Doesn't really matter, I've been on both before, but not at the same time.
Is there any other nomination?
Mm-hmm.
You nominated 2, there's one opening.
No, I thought there's 2 openings.
There's 2?
Yeah, there's 2.
Okay. Okay. And last, any other nominations? Okay, so we're going to do roll call by name. There will be first one, and then we'll do a second. Is that how we want to do it? Okay.
Yes.
Larry Zalesky,
Eric Hubner and Martin Gassner.
Kathy Daly,
Marty Gassner and Eric Huber.
Angie Ellis,
Martin Gassner and Eric Hubner.
Jerry Jericho,
Marty Kastner and Jody Chipple?
Jenny Matei,
Gassner and Chadwick.
Joe Smith,
Gassler, Shepherd. Or, excuse me.
Eric Huber,
Huber.
Hopper Warner.
Eric Hubner and Marty Gassner.
Okay.
2 people on.
Marty Gassner and Eric Huber.
You want to send them, get them a letter out, and Roberta will call them and let them know that they have been appointed. Okay? Next we'll go into for the Vacancy Board.
I'd like to nominate Rick Makita.
I'll second it.
I'd like to nominate Jody Chipple.
Second, Jody.
Is there only one for vacancy?
And there's 2 also.
No, there's one.
No, it's just one.
Okay, so there's 2 for zoning, I guess.
Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? No? Okay, 2 names. Roll call by name.
Larry Zalesky,
Rick Makita.
Kathy Daly,
Rick Medina.
Angie Ellis,
Jody Chaplet.
Jerry Jericho,
Jody Chipple?
Jenny Matei,
Jody Chadwick.
Joe Smith,
Nikita.
Hopper Warner.
Jody Chaplet.
Jody Chapman,
Okay. And last, excuse me, nominations for the zoning board.
James Newstrom.
Second.
Who?
Jimmy Newstrom.
Okay.
Second.
Randy DiPiazza.
Second.
There's two for that.
There's two slots open. Is there any other nominations? Any other nominations?
I'll nominate Jody again. It can be on both. None before.
And any other nominations? Okay, nominations are closed. There are two. Roll call by name.
Larry Zalesky,
Randy DiPiazza and James Newstrom.
Kathy Day,
Newstrom and DiPiazza.
Nancy Ellis,
Newstrom and Jody Cheplet.
Jerry Jericho,
Jody Chaplin and James Newstrom.
Janine McKickey,
Jim Newstrom and Jody Chaplet.
Joe Smith,
Newstrom and, who's the other
Chipwick and DiPiazza.
one? DPS.
Papa Vernick,
Newstrom and DiPiazza.
I'd like to.
James Newstrom.
Go ahead.
James Newstrom, and Randy DiPiazza.
And they would also be contacted. Letting them know.
Being our engineers here, do we have to wait till next month over the zoning issue that we took a look at on both ends of town? You remember that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, I do.
Is this something that they can, I mean, we need to advertise for a zoning board hearing? Solicitor, is there a way that we could do that tonight anyway, to get this rolling? Because we got to advertise and then come back and... So between the both of you,
That'd be a question for the
Yeah.
solicitor.
Okay, how does this relate to anything on the agenda right now?
Nothing.
it doesn't, but again, I'm just showing, you know, that we need to be a little proactive on a project. By the time we get this thing done, it's going to be 2 months down the road.
Unfortunately, if it's not related to what's on the agenda, you can't do it.
So we're going to
If
lose 2
I
months.
can shoebox it, you know, like through, like it's on the agenda, I can say it, but if you don't have anything remotely related to the agenda, I can't do it.
Why don't you ask to put it on the agenda, so we don't have to wait for the regular meeting? Ask to put it on the agenda, get together with,
No, it's going to be on the agenda.
but I'm saying so we can vote on it at the agenda.
We can vote on it at the
Well,
agenda.
Put it on there, and we discuss it, get everything together, we can vote on it.
But we still have to advertise it, and that's got to be a 30-day window for
Yeah, but we can
advertising.
vote to advertise on it at that meeting, not the regular meeting.
Right, that's what I'm saying, if there's a way we can vote to advertise it today, right
Not
now.
today.
Now, what Jerry says is a decision to do.
Okay,
Okay,
So why don't you say that you just...
yeah, it'll be on there.
okay, next we got authorize the purchase of a power washer for the street department.
How much did you say that was? When you-
Yeah, we need to put a cap.
The one that I was looking at that I'm favoring is $1,150.
It's a commercial
That's a
use.
commercial grade,
It's not a...
4,500 PSI pressure washer.
And what brand name is that? I forget what you said.
Generac.
Generac.
So we want to cap it at 1,200.
That's what I was gonna say.
Okay. So the motion would be to authorize the purchase of a power washer with a cap of $1,200.
No, it's
I'll second.
Any other questions on that? No? Okay, roll call.
Larry Zalesky,
Yes,
Kathy Day,
Yes.
Nancy Ellis,
Yes.
Jerry Jericho.
Yes.
Janine McKickey.
Yes.
Joe Smith,
Yes.
Papa Vernick.
Yes. Okay, number 5. We have the hire of the code enforcement office worker part-time, and is there a recommendation from the personnel committee?
Yes. Okay, Holly.
Yeah, no, Holly.
Haley.
Holly Haley.
Haley.
Yeah. That's it.
That's who we recommend.
get through the interview process, that's it. Okay. Anybody else had a copy of these resumes that were sent to them out? Is there any other, anybody have a question or? Okay, there's our motion to hire the Holly.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
The only thing I'd like to say, I'd like to have the hours put in the motion, 4 hours a day, I think we said,
No, we set up to 30 hours.
30 hours a week.
30 hours a week. All right, so
And just
you
get
gotta
the pay
put that
scale
in.
of 11.50 an hour.
Yeah, make the motion, 30 hours a week.
At 11.50 an hour.
At 11.50 an hour.
Question, was she contacted to see her interest in the
Yes.
position and she's willing to accept?
Yes, yes. Yes, she was called and said she was one of the top candidates, and if she would be hired this evening, is she still willing to take her, looking at taking a position, and she said yes.
And the starting date will
She can
be,
start on the 21st, I believe, is that what she said, Roberta? Yeah. Right. So there's a motion of the name and a second. Is there any other questions or any other
no, we just gotta
nominations?
make sure the chief of police gets her info, so we could run the background checks and all that.
It's fine. Any other nominations? No? And last time for that, any other nominations? Nominations were closed, and with one name, we will have a roll call vote by name. And it was Holly Haley.
Holly Haley?
Kathy Day,
Holly Haley.
Nancy Ellis,
Holly Haley.
Jerry Jericho,
Holly Haley.
Jenny Montefiore,
Holly Haley.
Joe Smith,
Holly Hayden.
Paul Martin.
Holly Haley. Okay, number 6, hire a personnel for the street department full-time. As we also had interviews with that, so between the street and personnel, and you were for personnel also. Is there a recommendation from the
Yeah, I make
personnel?
a recommendation that we hire James Timothy Riley.
At a rate
What's that?
at a rate of,
That's union contract, right?
He's over there.
to speak.
I do have one question, if I may.
Well, wait, we got a motion on the
Got a
floor,
motion.
and we gotta make sure we,
Is it?
we gotta go through other nominations, and we can actually do the question. Is there a question on what?
What we talked about in regards to the geography.
Oh, that,
We need clarification.
he will.
Okay, well, okay, yeah, we can get into, we have a question that, it's been a question that's been brought up with this, of his residency. It has to be within a certain, according to our ordinance, a certain distance.
Yeah.
That's
Not in the ordinance. I think that was in the contract at one time, and I don't believe it still is. But is it, and a lot of places have changed, even the police, we used to have it for the police, and we took it out of the police because we couldn't get nobody.
Well, my understanding
Couldn't find a
that-
cop in Charleroi.
My understanding, the way that is worded, though, it's 120-day probationary period and an additional 60 days. So he has 180 days, if that's still enforced, he has 180 days to move within the radius of the borough.
I'd like to lift that. It's.
Well, that's something we can do at another date. I'm just
Right.
saying, right now, that's the discrepancy, and he has 180 days to do with, to move into the prison. If it's not-
Our only concern is snow, of course.
Right.
He's approximately 30 minutes away from here. He lives in Clarksville, PA, right down by Fredericktown. It's 30 minutes. A lot of places if it says 10 miles, they go 10 mile, they say 10 mile air miles, which don't make sense, but they go with air miles.
Yeah.
So air miles, it's probably 5 miles away from here. But we have lifted them because we can't, once again, we didn't get nobody to apply from Charlotte, did we? So you almost have to lift that.
Okay, so we got, is there any other nomination?
Pittsburgh just lifted it for all their
We
police.
actually did get some.
Is there any other nomination?
Yeah,
Oh, I
I
think
think
we
he
did.
was in
Is
spirit.
there any other nominations for the name, for hire?
First, you weren't here.
Is there any other nominations for hire? The last time, any other nominations were hired for the street? Nominations are closed. There's one name, and it is James Riley.
Yeah. Riley, I'll leave one.
Roll call by name.
Larry Selassie,
James Riley.
Kathy Day,
I have to abstain from
Nancy Ellis.
James Riley.
Wait, I have a question on the abstention though. Is there a personal reason? Oh, okay.
He could be a relative, you still can vote as long as you're not getting any of his money. As long as it's not financial, not saying that's only, as long as you're not,
I didn't know that.
as long as you're not financially making any money, right, solicitor? Am I right, I should say?
She can vote for
She can vote for a cousin.
She can vote, and she can also abstain.
Yes.
Okay, okay, it's fine. She's saying, that's fine.
Gary Jericho.
Yes, James Riley.
Jenny Matiki.
James Brown.
Joe Smith.
James Riley.
Paul Barnett.
James Riley. Did they not call you this?
Huh?
Did they call you
I didn't
that?
hear him. Were you called?
I didn't hear you say nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, I didn't hear it.
I
Okay.
We're getting used to drowning around.
Okay, so those are behind, would you please make sure they're contacted? And he is also, he was contacted, and yes, he said if he would be hired, he would accept the position. So he does, you know, to be contacted and said, his start date, though, he said he could actually start the 14th if we needed him, or the 21st, whatever. You know, so, you know, whatever, folks, whatever you decide, if you think you want to be here next,
Yeah.
come in on the 14th, 13th, wherever they all
As
start.
long as it's a start, I can find the work, so. 14's in the paper anyway, so.
Oh, the grant, okay. Prevailing municipal rate, right? Is that the way it is, Sean? This prevailing municipal rate.
Yeah, I spoke with,
Okay, well, let's make, I just want to make sure that's part of the motion. Okay, so now we have number 7, grant borough solicitor and the power to hire individual attorney to conduct the investigation at the prevailing municipal rate.
Motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any questions on this?
I'd like the solicitor to explain that, why we need this.
If there was a problem with the hiring of a past employee, and that problem, I'm trying to word this legally, so you understand it, but also not to violate any kind of confidences. I believe there was a problem with the past hiring of an employee. If there was in fact a problem, how did it happen? And if you were not at fault for the problem, a report would show that, and then that would aid you in making decisions about the future of Charleroi and hirings in the future, as well as whether or not you have any legal remedies to the hire, or to funds for the hire.
But you being our solicitor, would you handle that?
When you have something like this, you have to bring in a special counsel for it. And that was past precedent.
And if he would come back with that there is no finding,
That's it.
then it's dropped and everything moves on and it's
Correct.
dropped. If he comes back, there's no discrepancy or finding that there was nothing wrong, then it's just dropped.
Also in this motion,
After
should
we pay him.
Yeah, he gets paid.
It's prevailing rate. Yeah, he does the investigative, but he comes back with the report
That's my issue.
and says,
well, should this motion not also have a name attached to it and the rate?
Yes, so I spoke with Attorney Phil Milligrain. He would love to do it. I brought up whether or not he knows anybody on council. He said that there were no financial relationships with anybody on council, and as such, there's no conflicts of interest. And he would do it at whatever rate he think is fair.
Zero, fair.
Unfortunately, he's a busy guy. He can't work for free.
No, he's a very good attorney.
okay, the prevailing rate, just a general, for the audience, a general prevailing rate is like $150, $200 a time, correct?
Right.
Okay. That's the general.
So it would be, we'll say, to be safe, action item would be, grant the borough solicitor the power to hire an individual attorney, namely Phil Milligrain, to conduct investigation into hiring practices at prevailing rate under $200 an hour.
Okay.
With a cap. I mean, we have to have a cap. I mean, we don't want to go.
If you want to put a cap, I don't think he's gonna get, he's not gonna blow through the cap.
Yeah.
So, but we'll say, if you want to cap it like 5,000, to be safe, we do that.
Okay.
So you want me to redo my motion?
Yeah, just the way that we reverted, you write that down, how that was, okay, so then that's the way the motion will be done, Sean said it.
I think I had it all, but that's.
That's fine, you want to do
No.
it, okay. So there was a motion and a second, you agree with it, we said, no, there is a second, okay. Any other questions on,
No.
any other questions on, okay, roll call.
Larry Zalowski,
Yes.
Kathy Dyke. Yes. Nancy Ellis. Gary Jericho,
No.
Jenny Matiki,
No.
Joe Smith,
Yes.
Paul Marty.
Yes. Okay, next is to authorize a resolution for the state LSA grant for the Streetscape project.
So moved.
Is there a question on that? Or a second?
You just want me to do mine again?
Mine is $745,172. That's the grant.
Second.
Okay, any questions on that?
Just get it for us, that's all.
Any other questions on that? No? Okay, roll call.
Larry Zalowski,
Yes.
Kathy Dyke. Yes. Nancy Ellis,
Yes.
Gary Jericho,
Yes.
Jenny Matiki,
Yes.
Joe Smith,
Yes.
Paul Marty.
Yes. And number 9, authorize a $100 non-refundable application fee for the statewide LSA application.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any
Who's
questions?
second?
Kathy, second.
Thank you.
Any questions on that? I think it was already self-explained. Okay.
Larry
Roll call.
Zalowski,
Yes.
Kathy Dyke. Yes. Nancy Ellis,
Yes.
Gary Jericho,
Yes.
Jenny Matiki,
Yes.
Joe Smith,
Yes.
Paul Marty.
Yes. Okay, number 10, authorize to advertise for a borough manager position.
Make a motion.
Well, the other thing is, do we
Need
want
a
to,
motion.
do we want to, or are we going to, do we want to set a date of when the application should be in?
Yeah, there should be, yeah.
Is there a second?
Can you flip that calendar real quick, Nancy?
I got it.
You want April?
Yeah.
Our agenda meeting falls on, I can't see that number.
Six.
6th.
6 and 13.
And then flip it back, what's the last day of March?
31st.
6th.
Take it for the
One,
first
two,
2, 3,
3,
4,
4 weeks. That's 4 weeks.
4.
Well, I'm just thinking,
That's a Friday.
you can advertise when you want to commence interviews with this.
That's the problem, because if you get a lot, it's a lot.
Why not, a suggestion?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
Why not, we advertise for it now, we'll say all applications have to be in by the 13th, and then we tentatively plan to narrow things down by, May the, looks like May the 4th, May the 11th.
Do we want to go that far?
You're going to go that far. You know what we went through before.
All right.
I mean, it's up to you, I'm just making suggestions.
Okay.
Was there anything other?
I mean, if they're directly coming here, and Roberta saw what happened the last time, they come here and we go through them, I mean, it takes time. With the requirements that you sent out to us the other day, I mean, are we going to also put in this motion, or in the, how much range we're going to be paying?
No.
So we don't get wasted time, because the last time we didn't do that, and nobody listened to me, and we got bombarded with applications, and when they found out what it was, nobody even wanted an interview.
I don't think you need to advertise the salary in the paper, in the ad, no.
I just think we should give a
I
range.
don't see too many ads that actually tell you.
Well, you can hear it. When people came, they wanted $100,000.
I understand that, Jerry, but if you advertise for a CEO position somewhere, it's not gonna tell you you're gonna get hired at X amount of dollars per year.
You could put, you could put in the ad, that the applicant puts in what their.
Right, we do that. We always have that on there.
Yeah. And that way, if somebody puts in $100,000, it's awesome.
As long as there's something mentioning wage, because we wasted a lot of time the last time, and people were doing it.
We need to advertise our paper of record. It would be one of the advertisers we would have to go through. Indeed, I would suggest we use it on Indeed also.
You've got LinkedIn, it's also popular as well.
Okay.
What was that one?
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
No doubt.
Okay, so, motion second. Any other questions? Okay, then roll call.
Larry Solaski,
Yes.
Kathy Dyke,
Yes.
Nancy Ellis,
Yes.
Jerry Jericho,
Yes.
Jenny McKinney,
Yes.
Joe Smith,
Yes.
Paul Cavarni.
Yes. Okay, number 10, authorized to advertise, number 11, authorized to use the FITS program to do park projects. Any
Motion.
questions? Okay, motion. Second,
Second.
Question.
questions, huh?
What, it's hard to hear on the phone. What type of projects for the parks are they gonna do?
They can do anything from painting to construction.
Okay.
We got the two pavilions that need, one in Crest needs totally replaced.
Yes.
Meadows or woodlands can be patched again, but the concrete, it got a gap going across the whole thing. That's got to be fixed. I've asked for a while now, it hasn't got. A lot of the landscaping can be fixed, but they would need probably a skid loader to help out with that. Up top where we took all the, you wasn't here, but Greg remembers the black blocks, I forget what. We took all them out, they don't, and there's all mulch there, but the black paper's still up. That all needs taken up, and I believe probably the easiest way would be with the skid loader and back the truck in there. It's just a lot
General
of,
cleaning, you're gonna get that for cleanup.
I mean, we can't do much because we don't have the money to put back in it yet. We're hoping to, I say get it prepared for if we get some money to put into them.
My vision is that pavilion won't be up there, it'll be down below.
All right.
Well, it's just, I mean, people do use that pavilion, believe me,
They do.
I can say before one up by me, at least they do use it a lot.
Love a bigger
They have
one down
birthday
below.
parties and that, but it's in bad shape.
I take my grandson to the park.
And you've seen, I've seen you up there, there's a lot of problems up there.
Yeah,
Well,
there is.
The fencing going around it, it's in bad shape. We had one of the local residents hit it this past winter, actually last winter, when Tommy Earl was supposed to submit a bill to him, and I don't know if that ever got done, but it never got fixed.
We're looking though on this, because the motion is second and on the question, we're looking at possibly May, am I correct, Larry?
Yeah, well, first, let me back you up on that. When I talked to Tracy to sign us up and with the inmates of the Washington County Correctional Facility, again, it was last agenda meeting that was all changed around to just be park projects. I would like to see that still be expanded to and other identified projects within the borough. So, because again, you know, park projects are going to be, that's going to take a lot of time. We don't have a commitment from her on what she's able to offer us as far as, I mean, I told her I'd love to have a month or two, but, you know, we're going to have to take what she gives us.
We're gonna have to really work on this before the next
Right.
meeting and give designated things we need done. We need it.
Absolutely. And we're looking at possibly May, no later than June.
Any other questions? Okay, roll call.
Larry Solaski,
Yes.
Kathy Dyke,
Yes.
Nancy Ellis,
Yes.
Jerry Jericho,
Yes,
Jenny McKinney,
Yes.
Joe Smith,
Yes.
Paul Cavarni.
Yes. Okay, number 12, to approve cleanup days for Friday, April 22nd for the students, and Saturday, April 23rd for community groups.
Motion. Good.
Second.
Second, okay?
Hi.
Go ahead, Nancy.
I'd like to add Sunday in there, Roberta, is that possible?
Oh, that's up to the groups, yeah.
I mean, would it be open, do you know offhand? Is it-
Yeah.
Okay, yes, I'd like
So
to,
you want the 23rd and 24th for community groups?
yes,
Okay. You amend that
because I
then?
am
That's-
reaching out.
That's May.
Yeah.
April.
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 Okay, so you're amending that, okay, and second, okay.
Mhm.
Any other questions on that?
Mr. President,
Yes.
would that require somebody, or at least a couple somebodies from streets to provide a truck and/or equipment to pick up trash and whatnot?
They didn't do that last year. They,
They bagged it.
yeah, she had, like, bag it up and set it by.
Do it on Friday. I thought Louis went around after that and cleaned everything up, didn't he?
No.
No, not on the weekend.
Oh, not for cleanup?
Friday
Oh.
is
So
street.
we always do stuff on Friday.
Yeah.
And then whatever done over the weekend is picked up on Monday.
Right.
Right.
The bags are left by.
I mean, if we do need, we can authorize someone to come out for that, but I don't think we do need, I don't think we need anybody to work that.
I mean, my only concern was obviously, if the groups are going to take the time to pick this trash up and stuff and clean the community, would it not behoove us to get rid of that trash ASAP versus letting it sit over the weekend and let animals and
So
stuff
we've
get to
already
it?
know the cost of it, the overtime, which we would have, unless you would not schedule somebody on a third day and schedule for Saturday, because you would wait to schedule.
I mean, I would be willing to take that on myself.
Okay, okay, that's fine.
I would rather see that done than the trash sitting.
Okay, that's fine, I mean, right, that's perfectly fine there, right? As long as it doesn't involve overtime, that's fine. Okay. Any other questions on it? Okay, roll call.
Larry Selasky,
Yes.
Kathy Day,
Yes.
Nancy Ellis,
Yes,
Gary Jericho,
Yes.
Jenny McKinney,
Yes.
Joe Smith,
Yes.
Papa Martin.
Yes. Number 13, approved firework contract for community days.
Motion.
Second.
Second, any comments, questions?
Cap, put a cap on that?
We have any budget, what, 5,000, so we have to raise the rest.
Right. My question is, going to make another motion on top of this for Buzzy Byron, B&D Fireworks, to be hired. That's who we've used for the past good while. He does a pretty good job.
I don't have a problem with that, he's a local person.
we've worked,
Yeah, we've used him before,
yeah,
he's
we
worked
worked
with
with
us.
him,
Okay,
never had
I
a
don't-
problem.
And that will be for July the 9th.
yes. I don't, Janine, in answer to your question, I don't think we need a cap, because we don't need, until we get a final, what we can tell him we need a display of. If we say 5,000, but we raise 10,000, I don't think we should put a cap on it.
But I'm saying borough funds, put a cap on 5,000, that's what we budgeted.
That's what we budgeted, but the firework display can be more.
Well, yeah, it could be anything you want once you fundraise.
Right,
I'm
right.
saying what the.
So in the motion, I don't think that we should cap it.
No, it's 5,000, we got 5,000.
Right, it's budgeted. Right. Any other questions? Okay, roll call.
Larry Selasky,
Yes.
Kathy Day,
Yes.
Nancy Ellis,
Yes,
Gary Jericho,
Yes.
Jenny McKinney,
Yes.
Joe Smith,
Yes.
Papa Martin.
Yes.
Larry, under the community days, I think we both got a conflict. I have a conflict that day, I found out I got a wedding.
So do I.
Only day I can help
Well,
is
yeah,
Friday.
yeah, when it gets closer, we can work on it and entertain the one.
Yeah, but
I mean,
we were both gonna try to handle that.
I know.
I got a new phone, when he asked me that last week, a lot of my things did not go through on my phone. When I went home, I realized, when I checked my schedule, I have a wedding that day.
okay,
And I think he said he did,
right.
so I don't know what's going on.
Okay, we'll work on when we get, it's all gonna depend on how much money we raise and what we can afford, basically. And number 14, resolution number 6 of 2020.
Yeah, I don't think the council of 2020 really liked having to move forward with this resolution number 6 of 2020. I know that this council doesn't like this either, but I'd like to make a motion on resolution number 6 of 2020 as discussed in executive session. This motion consists of Councilman Jerry Jericho, Councilwoman Nancy Ellis, Councilwoman Janine Motiki, each to be fined up to $500 for violating executive session. This resolution was adopted by the 2020 council on the 10th day of June 2020. So the motion's on the floor.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any questions, discussion?
Sure. Tell us about these executive session violations.
We discussed this in executive session.
No, we did not. Well, I want to know what you're referring to.
We spent, how long were we in executive session last week?
What are you referring to? What was said? What
You
did,
can't say what you
Can't
said.
say what you said.
because nothing was said. He's saying that we said something that was openly in the Observer Reporter.
Wait a minute.
I wasn't in executive session most of it, so, because I was on the telephone last week.
He said we violated from what was said in the Observer Reporter. I want you to tell me what was the violation and what was said in the Observer Reporter.
But that wasn't last week.
No, but he said that's what he's going to bring this up about this
That's
week.
the agenda meeting.
Last week's agenda.
I'll tell you what, I have a good memory, that's why I do what I do. I could go through what his allegations were, but I can't do it out in public. But hypothetically, if we went into executive session and lay out point by point what all of his,
No, absolutely not. I want these
No, I
people
want
here,
them all to hear
here on
it
that
also.
camera to know what it is.
Absolutely. Because nothing was violated in that OR that I quoted the three of us saying. Number one, she, myself, nor him ever saw the agreement.
you did see the.
No, I didn't see the agreement. I was
I'm
not
sorry,
here.
that's right, you were
I was
by
on the
audio,
telephone.
the other two did see the agreement.
I never saw it.
I handed it to you, and I said, I don't want to fight with you, I'm just telling you.
We all-
I handed one copy to you, and I said, purposely, I'm only I'm purposely only giving you one copy, because I don't want this to escape the room for now. You flipped through it quickly, and I gave you bullet points, and then moved on. That hurt for the entire council.
Okay.
So what was
I
the
wasn't
violation?
here.
What is the violation? I'm asking.
The violation is it can't be discussed openly, because,
What, you have to tell us, and if we violated, it was in the paper, so it's not a big secret.
Correct.
What was said in the Observer Reporter's article,
It wasn't-
it said in executive session.
well, I'm not prosecuting you, I'm just telling you what the discussion in the executive session was, that there were comments made about executive session outside of executive session. And there were comments made to people, and it wasn't even denied, it was said, yeah, comments were made, number one, and number two, in things that were discussed in executive session, and my advice to Borough Council members about discussing certain aspects of executive session, that advice was ignored and discussed openly with the press.
So, he has to state what we said.
Right.
He has to state what we said. You can't fine somebody for something that they don't know what the hell you're fining them for.
Right. I'm gonna arrest you, but I'm not gonna tell you why I'm arresting you, just get in my clock car. That doesn't work. It's not how it
I
works.
got one more in the discussion. I have a question then also then for Sean. Was that ordinance when it was adopted legal? Can a borough fine another borough member on something with an executive without an egregious break of it?
I think you can, just, it'd be the same as a surcharge.
I was told now that, I was just told this a couple months ago, that, yeah, that ordinance is no good.
Okay.
It's been beaten before.
It was
People
good enough
challenged
to find a
it.
former council.
I understand that.
councilwoman.
I understand that.
And she could probably fight it and get her money
If it's
back.
no good, did you rescind this and abolish this resolution number 6 of 2020? At any time since you adopted, so I guess you three would have been on there, when you adopted this, did you rescind this and abolish this? Before we came on
Like I
here
said, I just-
January the 2nd?
No, I just recently heard that it was not worth the paper it's written on.
Well,
And I was surprised. You're right. Maybe our solicitor was wrong, or however we got it together.
But
He
regardless
makes
of the-
mistakes, or past solicitor makes mistakes.
But
It
regardless of the
happens.
fact, you can't charge us with something
Well,
without telling us what it is. So you either have to bring it up
Then do we go
or
to
push it
executive
out.
session
I'm
on
not
that?
going to executive
I
session.
want to say right here, I'm not going in there and have you yell at me like you did earlier.
I'll
You're
yell
gonna
at
tell
you
me
all the
now.
time, Jerry.
You're gonna tell
I
me
love
now.
you, man.
You're gonna-
Okay, there's a motion
You can tell me now.
on the floor. There's a motion on the floor with a second. Is there any other questions?
I'm just asking how you.
So you're
vote
going to
on
let
something.
this go through without charges being read?
Well, first of all, I don't control the council. I
You
give
are the
advice.
solicitor, you give the advice. If you can't give the advice, then you shouldn't be our solicitor.
Well, you're welcome to fire me if you want to fire me. And whoever's clapping, you can clap. I mean, but all I can do is I can give you advice. That's basically all I can do. I don't control your council.
We're in this situation because of a violation of executive session. I'm not going to be put in to the same situation of violating executive session.
Did
But
you,
you can't charge somebody without telling them what they're being charged with. And if you're going to do it in public, you have to do it all in public,
have you
not
not,
just parts of it.
did you not say that you were gonna put this on here
It was on there last week.
because of what was said in the Observer? So all I'm asking you is tell these people what was said in the Observer, it was a violation
I'm
of.
not going to violate executive session, Jerry.
I don't have the article. Anybody
I have it on
have?
my phone.
Read the damn article. Read the article.
This is the article. You have it there?
Would you like to read it, Larry?
You have it there?
Go ahead.
No, read it out.
I don't like reading from people.
It's your phone.
Charleroi Council unanimously approved a personnel matter Wednesday through the exact details of the motion, though the exact details of the motion have not been made public. It was an executive session matter on an executive session matter on a personnel employment matter in which both parties are working on an agreement, explained Council President Paul Warnick. After the meeting, when the agreement is finalized by both parties, then the public will be made aware of what the discussion was. We voted at our end, it's up to them next. Council adjourned to a brief executive session Wednesday to discuss the matter. Solicitor Sean Logue said the motion on which council voted was to be approved an action item discussion at executive session regarding a confidential employment matter. After the vote was taken, Councilman Jericho asked if the action being taken, if the action being voted upon should be revealed. Doesn't the public have the right to know what we voted on, Jericho asked. But Pavarnik and Logue said it does not have to be made known to the public until it's finalized. When questioned if it is violating sunshine law, Mr. Logue said it did not. This is slightly different, he said. It's an agreement on a confidential employment matter. After everything is done, it will be open to the public. There is no violations of the sunshine law. Once the terms of the agreement Once the terms are agreed to by both parties, it will be made public, Paul said. We have accepted what was discussed, and it is a confidential matter. On the confidential agreement, I apologize. However, Melissa Melisky, legal counsel for the Pennsylvania News Media Association, disagrees that the motion taken Wednesday complies with the Sunshine Act. There's no way that complies with the Sunshine Act publicly commented on the policy. The Sunshine Act requires agencies to allow a meaningful opportunity for public comment before all discussions are made, before all votes were taken. The public cannot possibly exercise that right if they don't have any idea of what's being voted on. I'm not suggesting that they have to divulge every single detail of what was discussed in executive session. That would defeat the purpose of executive session. But they have to give the public enough information to know what they're voting on and to give comments before they do it. When contacted Thursday, Loeb said there was no comment to be made from the borough at this time, and when it reaches a resolution, the public will be able to address it at a public meeting. He said since Maluski doesn't know what was voted on, her opinion on this matter doesn't mean anything. Huh? This is the OR article, isn't it?
It's an earlier one, it's not the one that Larry's.
Larry's talking about the one that says they approached Councilman, I think who spoke on behalf of Councilwoman.
Oh, that's when we were asked,
Right.
I was asked why we voted
Right.
no to the separation
Right.
agreement.
That's the issue
And
that's brought up.
I apologize. I stated that we hadn't seen it, so how can you vote on something that you haven't seen? Correct? I know that I'm correct.
Well, besides that, we didn't say anything that was said in executive. You gotta find the right article.
I said that, I did mention Mr. Manning's name by saying that we three felt that he did a good job as the borough manager.
That's all that was said. So
That's what was said.
what is that a violation of executive session? That's what he's referring to.
It is what he's referring to.
Jerry, you're obviously speaking to the audience. I would love to be able to go and present everything that we presented in executive session, but once again, I'm not going to violate executive session.
You said that this was, what the violation was, we spoke to the paper. And that's all she said was that to the paper.
I think,
Was that the OR?
I think, not to put you on the spot, Mr. Patera, but you've had a couple of individuals that had no problem speaking to you. When you talked to me, when you called me, I said, Mr. Patera, I am not going to put myself in a position to violate executive session. And I think you can attest to that. And I immediately told you, you need to contact our solicitor.
Any other questions on this? It's going to go round and round, we can't divulge.
You can't
Well, then you can't take a vote on it.
You know what we can do hypothetically, if you want, I could figure out a way to write this up. And I don't want to, but I'm saying, you have to write this up a certain way.
So I'm just asking you basically, what she said to the newspaper, she commented about the work that he does. Was that a violation of the Sunshine Law? Or what we said in executive?
They're saying that we violated confidentiality, is what I'm assuming.
You violate hypothetically, I'm not saying you did or didn't.
Well, how are you going to vote on a hypothetical thing?
Right.
He's asking to vote tonight.
Because I'm giving you legal advice, I'm not advocating one position or the other. All I can do is give you legal advice.
But you're not giving us
But
legal
you have, yeah, you have to
You
tell
need
me.
to give
Can
him
you vote
legal
or can't you
advice
vote
to
on it?
divulge it.
You know, you three probably haven't read this since you fined former councilwoman Jody Cheplick, so I'll read it to you. This is under the resolution that your borough council, when you sat on it, 2020 passed. Violation of confidentiality. Any council member present at an executive session to have been found to divulge information determined to be attorney-client privilege may be fined in an amount up to $500 with the approval of the majority of council members and/or censured by a vote of a majority of council members. The fine and/or censuring shall be acted on during a council meeting and shall be consistent with state law, Robert's Rules of Orders, and the parliamentary rules of council.
Absolutely.
It still
So what
doesn't
did we break?
mean anything. You're still
You
not
read the law.
saying
You
anything.
read the ordinance, absolutely, that's what it says. I'm asking you, what part of that did we violate?
When we did the censuring for the former council person, it was divulged.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't.
Heidi gave a speech as to why. Yes, she did.
All that I've said on Facebook was that I couldn't discuss what they asked me because it was talked about in executive session, and that was all that I said. Nothing that was said in executive session was divulged. And I had 3 attorneys that told me that I did nothing wrong, but yous all voted your way.
But Heidi did give a detailed speech.
Well, I don't want to go back and beat the dead horse here. That's not the issue here. The issue is what is on the table now.
You said this isn't worth that piece of paper.
There's nothing.
That's my understanding. I don't know. I was just
So
told.
that's how we get our money back. That's all it is.
I was told that by another attorney. I'm not sure. I'm asking our solicitor.
It's real easy.
With what we found.
It's real easy. Get our money back. All it is.
I don't, and I would, if that was
Heidi
wrong.
asked for your money back.
No, if that was
I just
wrong,
told
I'd have
her.
a problem with that, absolutely. But we adopted it because we were told that it was a good ordinance. I was told
By
to
who?
wipe your nose with that.
By who? Your solicitor.
I'm not saying who, but it was a certified attorney.
Right.
I'm not saying who.
Sean, would
I'm
you say
bringing
that
him
at
into
this point, let me ask, before you, that you would say you would rather formally write something up instead of just putting on resolution number 6 of 2020?
I agree, it makes sense to actually write out what the charges are, because
Okay, so then this could be tabled then until,
I'd have to be told exactly all, by the way, I remember everything,
Right.
but you'd have to go with me again, and I'd have to write out in a way that the
and we
public,
instead of sitting here all night and going back.
the public would understand.
Tell me, don't tell me.
Yeah, in order for the public to understand what's going on,
Right.
but also not violate executive session.
Right, so would you rather table until the solicitor comes back with
That's fine.
things?
I have no problem with that. I do want to add also.
Okay, wait a minute,
Go ahead.
So, the motion then would be as, it's to be tabled until, with the review of the solicitor, and that's how it'll be. And so we won't have a vote on the resolution.
You know, and then I do want to also add that with the conversation from the Observer reporter and the reporter, Mr. Patera, again, I deferred everything to the solicitor. I did not breach anything from executive session. He then, in speaking to the solicitor, did the appropriate thing and sent in a right-to-know request. And that was granted, was it not?
Okay, so it's tabled. Is there a motion then to table it?
And also,
Is there a motion then to table it?
Motion to table.
Second? No, we need a discussion. What do you want to say, Mary?
I mean, and then what she read, it said that it would be divulged and spoke with the public, and it was never
Yes, it
talked
was.
about.
It was, because it was advertised, and
Right.
it was said very clear, there was a separation agreement and a resignation letter.
Right. Yeah, it was. It was, once we got worked out the terms of the agreement and the separation, it was.
And there was absolutely no.
It was made public in like a public meeting.
There was, yes, there was absolutely no violation of sunshine.
Okay.
What meeting was that at?
I don't know the date right now.
No, we haven't had that many.
Well, there was an app.
Okay, let's do a roll call.
There's the last
Table
one.
it.
Table on the motion.
Kathy Day. Table. Nancy Ellis. Table. Jerry Jericho. Jenny Matiki.
No.
Joe Smith. Paul McCartney.
Table. Okay, is there any, I think, redress grievances?
Yeah, I do. I have something to say. Over in Menneson, our brothers and sisters over there, they have a fine council. They have a big hole they have to work out of because of the council before them. They're doing a great job. The mayor over there is a super guy. Menneson's going to do well. They've had some rough times,
they're gonna do well. I thought our council here was off to a flying start. We have a lot of brain trust here, a lot of smart people on council. I think Charlotte can do well. I like our young solicitor. I think he has a good head and his shoulders, he's smart. But we have to mend fences early. What happened here tonight is not good. We can't have this separation on council. You have 3 veteran council people being ridiculed about sunshine law. I don't know what happened, I wasn't there. But I say, let's mend the fences before it gets worse. Say we can go on and do the job that you have to do for Charleroi. I know you can work it out. Let's do it before we split this council. We've got a long ways to go this year. We're not doing too good here tonight. We have been, except for tonight. Please, in good Lord's name, work together. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Yoder.
Oh, yes, sir.
Eric, you want to stand up? This is Eric Hubner. He got elected to the planning commission tonight, and just wanted to introduce you. Thank you for applying, and congratulations on being nominated.
Thank you, sir.
Have fun.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second.